Hey guys, welcome to part 2 about metronome practice for beginners. Today we're going to be talking about scales and arpeggios and how to practice those with a metronome. So let's dive into that right now. In the last video that I did, we went over how to use a metronome to make your chords better, to practice chords by doing your chord changes and your strumming patterns and chord progressions and finger picking and stuff like that. Now, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the same idea of how you can use a metronome and a metronome speed log to improve with your scales. So I'm gonna give you a few things that I have students do that help them really get their scales down and work on their timing at the same time. All right, so first things first, what you gotta do is you gotta decide what scale you are going to be working on. And then on your metronome speed log, if you haven't picked that up, you can go to simpleguitar.com/metronome speed log and you can download a free PDF metronome speed log. You can use it, you can copy it, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. Just a free resource for you so you can track how fast you're playing different things. For instance, today I'm just going to use the A major scale and I'm doing a 3-note per string shape. So once you know that, what you're going to do is turn on your metronome and you want to set it to a pretty easy tempo. Right now, this is 90 beats per minute. And if you're learning a new scale, that might be too fast. So let's go down. So there's about 75 beats per minute. So the first thing that you're going to want to do with a new scale with the metronome is play 1 note per click. So that means you're basically playing quarter notes. That's the rhythm. So you're just playing 1, 2, 3, 4, and the goal is to hit every note at the exact same time as the click. So you have to anticipate that. You have to predict when the next click is going to happen and adjust your playing accordingly. So check this out. If I take my A major scale to do this, then it's going to sound like this. 4. Right, so that is just 75 beats per minute playing quarter notes for that. You can track your speed specifically for the quarter notes too, because we're gonna do some other rhythms here as well. So once you're comfortable with quarter notes at a slower tempo, speed it up and go a little bit faster like this. Right, so that's nice and easy, and you can take that as fast as you want to. That's totally cool. But there's another thing that we're going to do that's actually going to change it up and get you practicing this even faster and playing a faster rhythm, and that is going to be to divide the beat. So dividing the beat means we're going to take each one of these beats that we have, which, like I said in the last video, this is just a measurement of time, but we can control how fast or how slow we measure this amount of time, right? So that's one of the cool things about music is our time is a lot more flexible. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our beat. 2, 3, 4, nice and steady. But if we divide the beat, what we're gonna do is we're going to divide the beat from being just a single quarter note, which is a 1 beat note, to doing 2 notes in the beat. So we're going to divide the beat into 2 equal parts. And instead of a quarter note, we're going to call it an eighth note. Each one of these notes is an eighth note. And we count it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? And so if eighth notes are new to you, that's how they go. And so this is going to go twice as fast. But here's the trick. I'm just leaving my metronome playing the quarter notes because you need to develop the sense of timing in your head. So to do that, you would play the scale like this. 1, 2, and 3, and go, and 1, and 2, and 3, and So that's twice as fast. And so you can practice it slow. That was 70 beats per minute. Or you can speed it up. You can go a little bit faster with this. And do something like this. But on your metronome speed log, keep track of if you're playing quarter notes or eighth notes for that, and keep track of how fast you're playing it, and then how fast you play it the next time, and how fast you play it the next time for each one of those different things. Those can be two different items that you're tracking your speed on. And a really quick note, you don't have to do this with just going up and down the scale straight. You can do this with your scale sequences. Right? So you can use your scale sequences and track your speed on those as well. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Real quick, guys, if you're enjoying this video and it's helping you out, do me a favor and help me out and hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new lesson to YouTube. Now let's dive back into working with our scales and arpeggios with metronome. Now, once you're good with your eighth notes and you're feeling pretty good, you want to challenge yourself a little bit more. What we're going to do is subdivide the beat. So we're going to take the beat, which we've already divided into two, and we're actually going to split it into 3 equal notes. So 3 equal notes that take up the same amount of time as a quarter note is what we call a triplet. And specifically, we call this an 8th note triplet. And the way that I count this is 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. You can also just drag the word out and go triplet, triplet, triplet. But I like 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, so I know what beat I'm on. But what that is doing, let me slow this back down. This is just about 70 beats per minute right here. What you're doing, and 3 note per string scales work great for this, but doing it with your pentatonics or your cage scales or whatever will work really great as well, and it'll be a good workout for your brain. But 3 note per string scales are awesome because there's 3 notes, so it's easy to do. So I want 3 notes per beat, so I'm going to go 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, nice and even through every beat, and then it'll sound like this. So you can do that with every scale that you know, and you can do it with your scale sequences. You can do it with connecting the different scales, all the things I talked about in my other video about, you know, the best way to learn scales and the process you can go through that. You can track all of that with your metronome. Now that was 70 beats per minute, so you can also do it faster once you're comfortable. Now, once you're good with your triplets and you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, what you can do is do 16th notes. So this is subdividing the beat even more. So first we had our whole beat, which is a quarter note, and we divided that into 2 even parts, which we called an 8th note. Now what we're doing is we're taking each of those halves of the beat and dividing them into 2 even notes each. So the beat is going to end up with 4 notes. And we call this 16th notes, because if we have a full measure of 4 beats and we divide it into 4 parts each, we have 16 notes in one measure. So these are 16th notes. And the way that you count 16th notes to make them nice and even is you count them 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Now, I played drums before I ever picked up guitar, and that was drilled into my head in band in school. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. That is the basis of every measure in all your rhythm. So understanding and being able to internalize 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a is really, really going to help you out. All right, so doing 16th notes with your metronome is going to sound like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. so that is a totally different rhythm. So we had quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, and then 16th notes. So if you want to be really cool, you can mix it up and you can do quarter notes and eighth notes and triplets and 16th notes and kind of mix them and match them together and do different stuff like that. And it'll sound awesome, because one of the hidden benefits behind practicing your scales and doing these different rhythms with them is that when you're soloing and you're playing and you're improvising, if you get stuck in the mode of just playing the same rhythm all the time, like a lot of people will get stuck in just playing eighth notes all the time. So their phrasing while they're playing just sounds boring because it's the same rhythm. Rhythm is a big part of your phrasing. So practicing your triplets and your 16th notes and switching between those is going to give you a lot more creative options that you can use for your rhythm and make you sound a lot better when you're playing for people. So practicing this, practicing the different speeds, doing the different rhythms is going to make you sound a whole lot more awesome. Now, this also applies to your arpeggios. When you're practicing arpeggios, you can do the exact same thing. You can do quarter notes with them, just going. Right? And then you can do eighth notes going. And I'm just sticking on one just because I'm trying to get through this. And then you could do triplets where you're going like this. And then you have 16 notes, which are 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Tracking your metronome speed for your scales, for your arpeggios, practicing the different rhythms, the quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes, that's really going to get you started to having a lot more rhythmic options and being creative with those rhythmic options. But then beyond that, if you really want to get crazy, you can do 16th note triplets, which are 6 notes per beat. You can do quintuplets, which are 5 notes per beat. You can do septuplets, which are 7 notes per beat. And those get all sorts of crazy, but you can practice that. But I would suggest getting your quarter notes, your eighth notes, your triplets, and your 16th notes down first, and then going to 16th note triplets, and then going to your quintuplets and septuplets. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do to practice with your scales and with your arpeggios. Now, here's the trick. In the video today, all I'm doing is I'm just playing up and down one scale and one arpeggio, right? It's not really fancy what I'm doing right now, because the stuff that I talked about in my video about the best way to learn scales, I go over connecting different scales, using scale sequences, connecting your arpeggios by playing chord progressions with them, doing different stuff like that. Doing those things, you can track that as well. So get creative with it and push yourself. So if you're learning a song and you're learning the chords to it, challenge yourself by going, okay, so where would I find the arpeggios for that? And you find the arpeggios and you track your speed doing the different rhythms and stuff. So get creative, go through all of that stuff. And by using the metronome to track all this, you're going to get a way more solid internal sense of rhythm and timing, which will make you sound great whenever you play. Because I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter if you're playing something advanced and complicated or something super simple. If your timing is off, it sounds like crap. So when you're playing for people, even if they're not trained musicians, they don't know why, their ear can tell. It's an innate human sense that we have, that when the timing is off, it just sounds off. And we may not be able to explain it, but we know that it sounds bad. So practice with your metronome and have fun with it. A couple of bonus tips for you really quick before I forget this is another reason why you want to practice with a metronome is if you have any interest in recording, whether you're recording yourself or you play with a band or a group and you want to go to a recording studio, if you can play with a metronome, you are going to save yourself time and money recording, whether it's recording yourself at home or recording in a studio. Because if you can practice with a metronome and be able to do that, I remember the first time that I went into the studio with a band, we tried to play along with a metronome, and you know what? We all kind of sucked at it. It was pretty bad. And it made it take a little bit more time than it should have. So that's been a recommendation to students for a long time, is if you're going to record, make sure you're practicing whatever you're going to record with a metronome. Now, the other thing about that too is the thing that I like to do that I think is better than a metronome is actually play drum beats. So if you have like GarageBand on your computer or on your phone, or a program where you can get free drum loops. You can even, right here on YouTube, you can look up drum loop at 60 beats per minute or 120 beats per minute or whatever. I like playing with a drum loop because the drum loop automatically is going to divide and subdivide the beat, because you've got the hi-hat usually playing eighth notes, and you've got the kick playing on beat 1 and beat 3. You've got the snare on beat 2 and beat 4. And so playing with a drum beat for me is a lot easier and a lot more fun than just playing with a metronome. But it's important that you do both so that you do have that internal sense of rhythm that you can hold together when you're just using a metronome. So there you go, guys. That will get you started with getting your scales and your arpeggios better by practicing them with a metronome and keeping track of it with the metronome speed log. Have some fun with that. Do make sure that you spend a little bit of time doing this, and it'll help you a whole lot. And like I said before, it'll really help with that internal sense of timing and rhythm. So do have fun with this, and let me know how it goes for you down in the comments. I want to hear how this works out for you as you try these things out. Now, if you've watched this far, I do have a gift for you that I want you to have. If you go to simpleguitar.com/top10, there I have the top 10 things to learn on guitar first. And that's 10 things that I teach beginners all the time to get them playing more real music on the guitar a lot faster than doing stuff like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or boring nursery rhyme stuff. So go to simpleguitar.com/top10, pick up the guide, use it, have fun with it, have fun using your metronome with your scales and arpeggios, and I will catch you guys in the next video.